bitches, don't bang my shit. Ready to get ready, I'm slaying this bitch. All my bitches, all my bitches.
What it do, y'all? It's your boy King Say. So I'm back with another video. Today we got rappers that beat murder cases. Before we get to the video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. Do not forget to go hit the description box and follow my other channels. My vlog channel, my second react channel, my podcast channel, Rest on Media. Links are in the description. With all that being said though, let's get to the video before my dumb neighbors start turning their music back on. Let's get it.
Hip-hop is a genre full of brags and boasts, but some artists have really lived the life they describe in their rhymes. Many rappers who claim to be killers are just doing it for the attention, but there are a select few who are as hard as they claim to be. Here's a look at some of the most prominent rappers who have beaten a murder charge. King Von. Davon Daquan Bennett, better known as King Von, was a rapper from Chicago who was tragically murdered in November of 2020. Before he was killed, Von was an artist who was well known.
Gotta say it, man. Gotta say it. Make sure y'all drop it in the comment section. R.I.P. Von. For real, for real.
Hometown for the work he put in on the streets and even beat a murder charge in 2014. Von was born and raised in the south side of Chicago in the Parkway Gardens housing project. Better known to fans of drill music as O-Block. He was raised by a single mother after his father was incarcerated and later killed. He was childhood friends with influential Chicago artists like Chief Keef, Lil Durk, and G Herbo. Although he took to rapping a bit later than some of his peers, he got involved in the streets from a young age and was allegedly a member of the Black Disciples, a prominent gang in Chicago that claims O-Block as its headquarters. Von was arrested several times growing up. He was arrested and booked in the Cook County Jail for unlawful possession of a firearm in 2012. Then in 2014, he was arrested in connection with a shooting that caused the death of one person and injured several others. As a result, he was charged with 1 count of murder and 2 counts of attempted murder. The shooting took place on July 24, 2014 at a birthday party on the 5700 block of South LaSalle Street in Inglewood, Chicago. Von was at the party along with a man named Malcolm Stuckey and 2 unnamed associates. Allegedly, Stuckey was a gangster disciple, the rival gang of the Black Disciples. According to authorities, Stuckey and his associates were harassing Von and giving him threatening glances, so Von left the party and recruited his friend Michael Wade, aka Big Mike, to provide backup. When they confronted Stuckey, a fight broke out and Von and Big Mike started firing their weapons. Stuckey was killed and the 2 others were wounded. Both Von and Big Mike were quickly arrested and hit with the murder charge, 2 attempted murder charges, and weapons charges. Both men were potentially facing up to 100 years in jail if convicted. While Von stayed silent, Big Mike initially cooperated with the police. At first, he made a minor slip-up, claiming that he had fired the shots, but Von was the killer. Then he eventually flipped fully and agreed to testify against Von in court. Both Von and Mike sat in prison for 3.5 years before the trial actually began. At first, it wasn't looking great for Von, but as the case unfolded, he began to catch a break. The prosecution had a hard time finding any witnesses who would cooperate other than Big Mike. Just before the case began, Mike changed his mind and refused to testify, fearing what would happen if he was outed as a snitch. As punishment for going back on his testimony, Mike was found guilty of the murder.
Hey, gotta say it, man. If you do the crime, do your time. Snitching, they might tell you, oh, it's a way out. You can go do this. You gonna do this. No, bro. If you're really from the streets, somebody's gonna catch you. Everybody is not Tekashi, bro. Bro got money and armed Navy SEALs or Army vets, whatever, protecting him. You ain't got that bag. He came out to a $10 million deal. You ain't got that bag. If you gonna do the crime, do your time. If you and your crime and you get caught, he don't. Hey, that's the way the dice roll. That's how it go.
And sentenced to 28 years in prison. Without his testimony, the prosecution had little evidence to pin the murder on Von, and eventually, all the charges were dropped. Von was released in 2017, which is when he decided to start taking rap seriously. So staying true to the street code ended up saving Von from potentially doing life in prison. You'll never guess who else ended up beating the murder charge without snitching. NBA Youngboy. Kentrell Deshaun Gaulden, better known as NBA Youngboy, is a popular rapper from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. NBA Youngboy's...
Hey, I gotta say this to my NBA Youngboy friends and my Fredo Bang friends. If this is the case that y'all be talking about, let me know in the comments if this is the case y'all be talking about.
one of the hottest young artists to come out of the South. However, despite only being 21, he's had numerous legal troubles, including an attempted first-degree murder charge. Youngboy was raised primarily by his grandmother in Baton Rouge after his father was arrested and sentenced to 55 years in prison when he was a child. He dropped out of school in the 9th grade to focus on music and was arrested for robbery shortly after. He was held at a detention center in Tallulah, Louisiana, and it was during this time that he began writing the lyrics to his first mixtape. After he was released, he moved in with his half-brother OG33, later known as NBA 33, and the two started paying for studio time with money they made in the streets. He released his first mixtape, Life Before Fame, in 2015, and his breakout single 38 Baby the following year.
That's when I first heard of him.
Gained him the attention of fellow Baton Rouge artists like Kevin Gates and Lil Boosie, who both collaborated with Youngboy at this time, and the artist began to receive national attention. You'll be shocked when you find out how this Baton Rouge artist beat his own murder charge. It's crazy. Just as Youngboy's career was starting to heat up, he was arrested for 2 counts of attempted murder outside a show in Austin, Texas. Authorities claim that Youngboy, along with other members of the NBA crew like Drew Landrick, NBA self-paid Norman, and Ben, NBA Ben 10 Fields, were the perpetrators of a drive-by shooting that occurred on the 2000 block of Kentucky Street in Baton Rouge. Prosecutors claim that the shooting was retaliation for the killing of Keandre Boozilla Ricks, another Baton Rouge artist who was also Youngboy's cousin. Boozilla was killed less than 8 hours before the shooting not far away on Nebraska Street, and that murder allegedly set off a series of shootings, one of which involved the NBA crew. No one was killed in the shooting, but an unnamed passenger in the vehicle Youngboy was driving in was allegedly shot in the neck and brought to the hospital the same day. Youngboy spent almost 9 months in jail, but eventually copped a plea deal. On August 23, 2017, he pled guilty to the lesser charge of aggravated assault with a firearm after several record label executives showed up to testify on his behalf. He was sentenced to a 10-year suspended prison sentence and 3 years of active probation. This meant that he was able to walk free after the trial. However, he would be heavily supervised and could return to prison at any moment if he slipped up. Despite his promises to the judge that he would change his ways, Youngboy has been arrested several times since the incident. However, he continues to find ways to finesse the charges and eventually had his probation for the aggravated assault terminated in December 2019. In September 2020, Youngboy was arrested for the distribution and manufacture of drugs and the possession of a stolen firearm, so his legal troubles continue to this day. But Youngboy seems to have one of the best legal teams in hip-hop, based on the number of serious charges he's faced and how...
Hey, I'm gonna say this, man. I've seen it happen a lot of times. A lot of times when they keep giving you these passes, letting you out, letting you go, letting you go, letting you go, all they doing is add it all up. And then when they finally tired of you, they gonna use all of it and like, these are all your cases. We're fighting all this against you. To all my artists, my upcoming artists, whatever, music, YouTube. If you got a way, you look. The whole purpose of getting to the bag is to stay away from negativity. If you're in a position to get a bag, stay out. Just stay out the way, man. Stay focused on the bag. Stay focused on your grind. Stay focused on your passion and your family and keep it pushing. Like, let's be honest, man. A lot of people that's out here doing crimes, they doing it because they feel they don't have no other option. Most. I'm going to say most, because some people are really crazy.
Easily, he seems to shrug them off. So it wouldn't be surprising if he manages to beat this charge as well. But Youngboy isn't the only artist from Baton Rouge who has beat a murder charge. Boosie Badazz also beat the death penalty in 2010 after he was arrested for first-degree murder. It's a crazy story, so stick with us. Boosie Badazz. Torrance Ivy Hatch Jr., better known as Lil Boosie or Boosie Badazz, is a rapper from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Boosie grew up on West Garfield Street in South Baton Rouge. His mother was a school nurse, and his father, Torrance Hatch Sr., was allegedly involved in the street life. He was killed in 1997 in an incident Boosie attributes to street violence. Boosie has described the area he grew up in as a dangerous neighborhood, where drugs and crime run everything. After his father was killed when he was 14, he quickly got sucked into that world. Eventually, he was expelled from school and took to rapping as a way to make it out of Baton Rouge. He joined a group called Concentration Camp with rappers Young Bleed, C-Loc, MD, and several others in the late 90s, but left to pursue a solo career in the early 2000s. He started gaining national attention after signing to Pimp C's Trill Entertainment in 2001 and producing a series of collaboration tapes with fellow Baton Rouge artist Webby that was presented by the label.
Boy.
After the height of his success, Boosie started to experience legal troubles. It all started in 2008 when police found marijuana and a gun in his car. He pled guilty to the charge and was sentenced to 2 years, then had that sentence doubled for violating probation while he was out on bail. Then in 2010, while serving his time for the drug charges, he was indicted for the killing of Terry Boyd and hit with an additional first-degree murder charge. He was also hit with additional charges for allegedly smuggling drugs into prison. If convicted of all these crimes, he faced the death penalty.
Man.
Boosie maintained his innocence in the Boyd killing, although he eventually pled guilty to the drug charges. Prosecutors claim that Boosie hired 17-year-old Michael Marlo Mike Louding to kill Boyd for $2,800 in the Baton Rouge turf war. In an interview with Vlad TV, Boosie claimed that Marlo Mike was a kid from his neighborhood that he mentored who initially snitched on the rapper to the police. But before the trial, Marlo Mike sent a letter to Boosie apologizing for pointing the finger at him and claiming that he wouldn't rat on him. It was later discovered that Marlo Mike had gone on a killing spree before the Boyd murder, but one of Boosie's longtime friends, Daryl Bleak Milton, was also killed. Marlo Mike was tied to at least 5 other murders, and the defense used Bleak's killing as evidence to prove Boosie had no control over the murders. Marlo Mike took the stand and testified on Boosie's behalf, claiming the police coerced him into implicating the rapper. With no DNA evidence or witness testimony, Boosie was found not guilty of the first-degree murder charge. Marlo Mike was sentenced to life in prison for the killing. Boosie still had to finish his time for the drug charges, but was eventually released in 2014. So there you have it. All 3 of these popular rappers face serious charges.
That's crazy. That young boy was on a killing spree. As I said, some people are just really crazy, man. Make sure to hit the like button and catch you on the next video.